On today's episode, I'm going to do a few random updates on the farm. I'm going to talk about how to get weeds out of sorghum post-emergence. I'm going to talk about creating two-dimensional food plots and what I mean by that and why it's important. And then also what the apple situation looks like this year and maybe ways you can take advantage of that in your area. So the first one I'm going to hit on is how to clean up these sorghum patches. And I've got 4 of them, and only one of them really came in particularly grassy. And I'm not sure, maybe I didn't spray it at the right time or something, but this one's got a lot of weeds in it. And I've got an intern applicant for the bow hunting whitetail series, and he lives nearby, and he was gung-ho about getting the process started. And I said, well, one of the prerequisites is that you can do a little bit of manual labor.
Oh, it's gonna be fun.
This is what he calls fun. I like young people. This is what they call fun. So poor Amos, he fell for it, and he's out there right now with what's called a hula hoe, and he's ripping the grass and the broadleaf weeds out of this 1/3 of an acre sorghum patch. And I'm going to go help him in a minute, so I'm not going to leave him stranded. But there's not too many options. I guess that's the point. Most of the sorghum that we plant, and we've talked about it, you have to get the weed control done ahead of time. And if you can spray something that does pre-emergent control, which keeps the weeds from coming up after the sorghum comes up, that's best. But most of those chemicals really only work on broadleaves, and it's hard to find something that keeps the grasses from coming in later. So it's something we're going to continue to pay attention to here. I guess there are some varieties of sorghum out there now that are evolving to give you a way to manage grass later. The stuff that I'm planting this year is from the Whitetail Institute. They've given me some sorghum to test, so that's what we're looking at. But it doesn't have that capability built into it. You have to basically remove the weeds manually after the sorghum comes up if you want to clean up the seed bed. So that's what we're doing. We're cleaning up this field behind me. And I don't know if you can see poor Amos back in there. But yeah, that's the only solution that we've come to. And obviously the people who do farming or who farm sorghum for a living, they've got a better system than this. But on these small plots, this is just the simple solution that came to mind. So I'll move along now, and we'll hit a couple other topics, and then I'll wrap up this episode. Dream Farm is brought to you by Whitetail Institute. Research equals results. Hunt Stand Pro Whitetail app. Hoyt Archery, Wildlife Farming, and PH Outdoors. Today's the 11th of July, and this apple tree behind me is already dropping apples. It's loaded up with these little green apples. It's a wild tree, one of, I don't know, maybe hundreds on this farm, but you can see the way they've beaten down all the grass around here and the trails leading into it and all the tracks, that the deer are hitting this pretty hard. So they're quick to find these trees as soon as they start dropping. My guess is that when they all start dropping, it's going to be a different story. I mean, the deer are going to be so spread out then because there's so many places for them to go. But this is one of the few trees that I've seen that's dropping apples, and man, they're piling into it. So early season hunting, if you can find those apple trees that are dropping, those are going to be key spots to kind of zero in on. But everything's eating the apples, including the crows. Chipmunks, I mean, they've been gnawing on these apples. So it's a really good resource, and I think if there's one thing that you can do that maybe is overlooked on a hunting property, that would be to add apple trees or fruit trees of any kind. They're fairly easy to maintain. I mean, these are wild trees, so they have zero maintenance. But even normal trees, once they get established, they don't require a lot of maintenance. And they're fairly inexpensive when you start to figure out how many years that they should be productive for you. Keep in mind, there's more to food plots than clover, corn, brassicas, beans, sorghum. some of these fruit varieties are a really good option. I'm on the corner of one of my bigger food plots here. This is a soybean plot that it's about, oh, I think it's about 3.5 acres. But this little spot where I'm standing right here, with all the rains that we had this past summer, this one really kind of flooded out. The water comes down the valley and sort of sets here a little bit, or moves through here. It was planted to beans, but they just aren't coming in very well. I mean, the stand is, there's some beans here, so I'm not going to tear this up. There's no reason, given what I'm seeing here, to put this into some kind of an annual crop in the future. So I'm going to plant this to the Winke Institute edge. And this is it's a blend of perennials that should be perfect for this spot. There's chicory in there, there's clover in there. Let me get the bag. So there's some stuff here, I don't even know what it is. Shoshone sainfoin. That's pretty cool. Find out what that is. Persist small burnet. I know what that is. It's a little legume. Alfalfa, berseem clover, and then winter triticale, and that's more like a cereal grain. So that'll fill in, for the rest of this year before these others really kick in. So I'll have something here for the fall, and then Winke Institute chicory. So it's their proprietary chicory, and I haven't planted a lot of chicory on this farm, so I'm really curious how that does. Chicory is kind of a little broadleaf annual, or no, it's a perennial, and it does really well in dry conditions. Don't know how it will do in this spot, being as moist as it is. But the big picture here is making the most of every acre. So this is a spot that, I could fight it every year and try to get something to grow here when I plant this bigger plot. But there's no point in that. I'm not going to accomplish what's best for this area by fighting nature. This is a spot that it's either going to be probably too dry, because I think this used to be an old pond, so it's probably filled with rocks and dirt and whatever else rolled down that valley. It's either going to be too dry on dry years or too wet on wet years. So I'm just going to put it into a perennial that can handle a wide variety of conditions. And I feel like this edge blend does accomplish that. If you read through some of the research notes on this product, it does cover a wide range of conditions. It'll be nice to have a perennial here. I've got another spot started on the other end. It's really small, maybe 1/8 of an acre, and that's going to be about all this is too. That I've got the whitetail clover, the Winke Institute's Imperial Whitetail Clover in that spot, and it's doing well. So having, the base plot be grain, whether it's corn or beans, maybe sorghum at some point in the future, and having these little satellite parts of it, 1/8 of an acre here and 1/8 of an acre there, that's in a perennial, some kind of a legume, something that should be there and thriving under almost any conditions. It gives the deer variety. It gives them food at different times of the year. Like if I've got corn, for example, they're not really going to eat that corn until fall, winter. And beans, they can eat, summer, fall, winter, if you can get it through that long. Sorghum, again, you're only looking at best fall, winter. So you've got a part of the year that they just don't have anything down in this valley. So putting in these perennial plots next to your annuals makes a bunch of sense. So that's what I'm doing today. We've got rain in the forecast. It's a perfect time to do this kind of work because it takes a rain in order to get the seed down into the soil so you get germination. It takes a little pounding and a little time and a little moisture. The other option is to drill it in. And I could do that. I just got to get back in here with the tractor and a drill, and I'm going to smash down an awful lot of stuff. So I'm just going to do this one with the bag spreader. So I'm just going to spread this on top of the ground and let nature do its work and get this to germinate. I did spray it and I cleaned it up, so I don't have a lot of weeds to start with. I think that's really important too, because you're not going to do well if what you plant is fighting weeds right away. So that's what I'm up to today, and I think it's a worthy goal to diversify your food plots. I think it's really smart to have a part of your grain plots be devoted to the perennials, right in that same area, so that there's always something for the deer during every part of the year. Okay, that's it for this week. I appreciate you joining me. It's not a super busy time of the year on the farm. A lot of just maintenance chores, keeping stuff mowed, cleaning up a few clover plots. I'll dig into maybe that topic in the next week or two. You can mow it to clean it up, but there's also some chemicals that you can spray if you've got plots that are really hard to to get the weeds out of them. So I'll come back to that, but that's it for this week. I appreciate you joining me, and I'll see you back here soon for the next episode of Dream Farm. And remember to always dream big.